Welcome, everybody. Let's talk a little bit about making our classes a little more interactive, especially when they're online. But I do like this particular program we're going to use today, Pear Deck, and that should not be Dutch. Let me see, Pear Deck Edition, right? All right. So when we're talking about inline, online, in class, whatever it may be, we always need to know where our students are in their knowledge base, what they're thinking, that they're following along, which is usually a big key in what we're doing. So what I've done is I've taken the lecture slides that we're going to use and we're going to break them down a little bit. And I'm going to show you how to use Pear Deck. Now, if you notice, this was authored by Mary Kate Gallo. She is one of the trainers that I work with pretty much all the time. I did get permission from her to use it, and she had no problem with that. So we're going to use this, and I'm breaking it down so that we can use Pear Deck. And again, you'll see this in the lecture for today, this set of notes, but I want to make it so that you are a little bit more, or you get to see how you can make things a little bit more interactive. When I talk to you about this presentation a little later on, I'm just going to go through it like a general lecture. But there are ways that we can, without a doubt, enhance what we're doing with our students. But this is a videotape, so I can't really do that. But if you are on the online class on Thursday nights, you'll actually see that we'll kind of play through this and get some practice with it to see what it completely does. So let's get started. So the first thing that we have to do, and if you jump into Module 3 104, I'm sorry, Module 4 103. You're going to see how we get Pear Deck, all right, and what we really need to do to kind of get started with it. But what it is Pear Deck is an add-on. And if you look at the web page, I'll show you how to get it. But very simply, you just get add-ons. And it's going to open up a store now. See, mine already says installed, so I can't do it again for you, but I do walk you through earlier. And then once you install it, it's going to ask you if you have permissions. Just give it permissions. It is a Google Slide add-on. It is definitely acceptable to give permissions. So now let's take a look at what this program does and why you can really build this into a class and why I use this as the tool, or one of the tools for you for this week in your lessons. So let's go to add-ons, and I'm going to start my Pear Deck. All right, Pear Deck for Google Slides, open Pear Deck. So now I get my sidebar. You notice a lot of these things open sidebars. When we did the Google Docs scavenger hunt, it opened a sidebar. Sidebars are a inside program written that they use, and it kind of is nice. If you know anything about coding, you can start figuring these things out. But so let's get taking a look at what Pear Deck has to offer. So really what I want to do, and I'm going to have to kind of move myself around a little bit, and I apologize for that, but it does go a little easier if I can do that. So on you're looking at your screen on the right side, right? It says start lesson. We're not ready for that yet. So what we really want to do is this allows us to interact with our students. Now there are paid for versions. There are district site license. There's license that you can buy as a teacher. I stick with the free version. It does everything that I want it to do. What I like the data downloads that you could get, yes, but at the same time, when I'm in my class and I'm teaching, it does all that I really want it to do. So I'm not too worried about paying that extra for that. So here, definitely just stick with the free version. We're not going to go too crazy. So if you take a look, right, it says our template library, right? And so there's beginning of the lesson, during the lesson, end of the lesson, some critical thinking, social, emotional, some example questions, math, science, social studies. There's all sorts of things that you can look at to really start building a lesson that is very interactive for you specifically. I'm going to start with this ask student questions, because I want you guys to kind of see that you can build your own, and then we'll go back up and we'll play with some of the templates. Now, you'll notice too, the starred 2 right here, They are for the paid version. Again, I'm not doing that. I'm not asking you to do that. But if you ever feel like you really want to, you can. But I stick with these four, and I really think that these tend to be plenty for what I need. So we're going to talk about Google Slides, right? That's our go-to thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to maybe start here, and I'm going to say, oh, where'd I go? Template library. Our template library, right? And I'm going to do a beginning of the lesson template just for fun. So I'm going to click on here, right? These are your do nows. And if you look, it asks you. So as you come in and settle, follow these instructions. So you can give them some basic instructions. What did you learn from the homework last night? Draw or type 2 things you already know about today's topic. Think of a question your classmates might have. What do you wonder about today's topic? How was the homework assignment? Thumbs up, thumb down. So each of those are an interactive item that you'll be giving to your students. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this one because I want to know what do you already know about Google Slides. So I'm going to click on it. And it takes a moment, of course, because everything does. And you will see, boom, it popped in. Notice it popped in right after my title slide. That's where I wanted it. All right. So it says draw or type 2 things you already know about today's topic. So I'm actually just going to get rid of the draw because I don't want anyone to draw because sometimes that gets a little weird, especially if you have high school or middle school students, right? Type 2 things you already know about today's topic. Now, when we go through this and you start to use it, when you're presenting, you'll have to give a code to your students, and that code will show where all of the items are and all the things are. And as you're going through, this screen will pop up to them, and you'll say, okay, go ahead, do that. They won't be able to see everybody else's answers. Only you will be able to see them, and you'll be able to scroll down and see what everybody's answers are. You can make them shareable if you want to, and you want to show the class what kind of things come up. But it is a great way for you to say, okay, real quick, guys, name 2 things that you already know about today's topic, and you scroll through and say, I don't have to cover this and this because 90% of the kids already know it. We're good to go. Let's move forward. So it just gives you a great way to kind of get an idea of what's going on. And it literally makes it interactive, right? You can see who added what in, what kids are on the same screen. And then you can say, hey, guys, I noticed 3 or 4 of you not there. Let's go. And it lets them know that you're paying attention. All right, so that's going to be our introduction, right? And then we jump down some basics, right? Using Google Slides, that's a whole nother presentation we're going to go through. All right, themes and stuff. So do we have any themes? Do we know themes? So we can click on the during the lesson. And I don't want to show you everything. All right, I want to go through this a little bit so you get the gist of it, but really playing around with some of these and getting you to see what they do, it's kind of the fun. It's kind of the interesting part of it. And you can always present to yourself or log yourself in if you have a different user email. So if you're using your school email or your Gmail to build this, log in as your student email and see and play around some. But it is kind of fun. So themes, all right, let's take a look at this. Board of themes and slides. So go to Slides Carnival. We'll talk about that because Slides Go, right? Choose a theme. And then you say, well, all right, what did you just get out of that? What is the new thing, or what's your favorite thing? So if you click on it, again, notice I'm highlighted the themes. So underneath, there you go, it comes up. So maybe I say, we're talking about themes. Let's change it a little bit. What was your favorite theme? All right. And now your students will have a response. Students, write your response, right? They'll have a response to what's going on as you're discussing. Now, let's just say, for instance, and again, I'm going to goof around a little bit because not necessarily would I put all of these in here, but I want to show you some different ones. All right. So background, right? This is talking about the background. I'm going to add a true or false. And again, it takes a minute because that's the way it is. Right? So you got the true or false button, right? So my question is going to be, is a background is important in Google Slides? All right. So now when our students start to make this and they'll actually have a little, I don't know, like bingo chip they get to move from place to place. And whether true or false. So then you can watch. If most of them say true, then you're great. You're good to go. If they say false, no way. So you can use this, like I'm using it just to say, is it important in Google Slides? You could ask, hey, after we've talked about such and such topic, do you believe this? Yes or no. And then it goes through and it really starts to kind of focus on the most important aspects of what is going on in your class. All right, so what other ones can we play with here? Let me see here. I do like this one. This one's excellent, right? Hold on, let me just see. See if I can pop up a question. All right, so let's talk about slide animations. We can use slide animations, right? Let's just say that in the middle of class, we're talking about slide animations, and I really want to know: do you guys get it? Are you following along? Do I need to go back and talk about some stuff? So I would again, I'm highlighting my slide animation one, right? I wanted to go after that one, and we're working. And it'll come. Right? So drag your dot to how you're feeling, right? And you can even see by the faces, right? He's like, yeah, I got it, dude. He's like, yeah, maybe. And this guy's like, no way. So if you put this up, and again, the little bingo chips do not show names or anything like that, right? Even to the teacher, they don't show names, but it lets me know if I'm talking about something, and 99% are over here, then I usually make the comment. All right, I see almost everybody's got it, so I don't really want to take too much time. If you don't have it, then make sure you see me out of class after class so we can go over it again because I really want to make sure everybody is got it. If nobody's at the keep going, I understand, and most people are down here, then I'll re-hit that topic again and I'll make sure that we get it. And then we'll hit this question again. How do you feel? And if everybody's back on keep going, I understand. Now we know we've learned a little bit. So it is a great way to check understanding. And again, you can do this when they're at home and you're 100% remote. You can do this when you're in class and all sitting there together. This way you're not okay. Because, if you say to students, everybody raise your hand that doesn't understand, no one is raising their hand, right? No one's going to say that. But if you do it in a manner that, is anonymous, people will actually be a little bit more prone to say, hey, you know what, I don't get it. And it's something that you may have to sit and really take time to kind of focus on. And that's something that you really need to do. So next one. Let's see what else we got here. A mind map, right? Let's pop this one in. There it goes. All right. So this one I really like because it's kind of a mind way or a way of thinking about things that are going on. So let's just say we're talking about slides, right? So we'll put that in. That's our central topic. Now from there, right, you can have people write all over this. What are some of the things that, what are some of the topics we need to think about? We'll put backgrounds over here and maybe transitions and topics, and then they can start really processing the whole thing in a better situation. And it really gives the students a way to kind of get in this slide and start showing what their knowledge is. And I truly do enjoy that in a way for my students to kind of draw this map, right? And not only is it awesome for them to see the map, but then we can kind of go off in different directions from that. Oh, somebody mentioned that. Let's kind of build from there and see where we go. It really does allow for our students to kind of build their own thought processes. All right, so next, right? Agree or disagree. Again, got to wait, and I really apologize for that, but the program takes a couple minutes, so we kind of got to do what we got to do. And there it is. All right, so I usually use this one if we're going to be discussing maybe a present day topic. I'll just throw out there right now. We're in politics. You have two different political parties kind of battling out for the situation of different things going on. So I might pick a present day issue and say, hey, Do you agree with this or do you disagree with it? And again, it's anonymous, and so you kind of say, hey, most of you agree with it. Now, as a history teacher, the minute I say, oh, 90% of you agree with it, I am 100% devil's advocate. I'm in the disagree column, and I am throwing out concepts to kind of make you really think. But it's a great way to get students and teachers and well, I don't know why I said that, students to think about what is going on and how they fall in certain areas without having the stigma of, oh, you're one of them, right? Listen, there's 8 or 9 people that disagree, and there's 30 that agree. I don't really care which side you follow, but take notice of the political spectrum in this room, right? It helps to really get some conversation going. Let me see what other ones are kind of fun. You can use something like this. There we go. If you want to do like an instructions for them to get started in class, right? Let's just say we're in the middle, we're working through Google Slides, we're talking about Google Slides for this activity, you will, and then step 1, step 2, and step 3, and it gets the directions going, right? I use this once in a while. I tend to find that my discussion of it helps. If I'm going through the notes or if I'm going through things, if you're just doing something short and sweet, then yeah, this is pretty awesome. I think it's a great way to go. But at the same time, like I wouldn't put a whole like full blown lesson right in here, right? Because it's not a lot of space for a lot of information. So I'd kind of watch what you add in there. There's a stretch break, which is pretty cool. Like this slideshow is 37 now, 37 because we keep adding. But it is nice if you're in the middle of class and you're just like, whew, we've been talking quite a while here. Let's throw a stretch break in, right? I think that's important. Excuse me. Other things. So that's the during the lesson one. The end of lessons, it just as nice, right? In 1 minute, right, the most important thing that you got today, and add that in as you're towards the end. Give me one thing, and again, they won't be able to see the slides unless you share them. But it's a nice way to kind of see, like, hey, they got it. And people that don't answer, you're like, all right, wait a minute, why aren't you answering? What's going on here? Circle how you're feeling. All right, I think I just clicked that by accident, so it might show up somewhere. But listen, I'm really happy with everything that's going on. I'm kind of or listen, no way, dude. I have no clue what you're talking about. So these are all kind of great things, and you can modify, just like in this one here. You can modify the directions or the information that they're given. It's a nice way to kind of look at things and go through things. So you can modify it to be the question that you want. Let's just say you're up here and listen, 4 faces just too many. I either want happy or sad. You can get rid of a face. It really is kind of set up for you to do as much as you possibly can, right? I'm trying to see what this one is. It's going to add it because I did. Oh, reflect on the activity. What did you like? What didn't you like? What was easy? What was hard? And again, when you're doing it, that's a lot of information. So if you have the pro version, right, this will all download for you. Again, I don't, but what I do is I don't close this out. It'll save it while your presentation is open. So I don't close this out until I get a chance to look through and see what's there. What did I like? What didn't I like? And see what kind of items students are really talking about. Let me see. Let's see. There's some critical thinking ones, right? Make connections. And again, I want you guys to play. I'm just trying to hit some of the different ones to show you some of the importance of what we're doing. There it is. All right, make some connections. All right, concept one. And again, you changed the concept one. So let me just say, all right, let's go with revolution. Again, history, right? Let's see, revolution and constitution. Right? What connects these two together? And then the students can make little lists. Tell them, listen, I want 3 or 4 items in each person's, or two in each person's, and we're going to run through these and see which ones are kind of being used and talked about the most. It's a great way to see what kind of critical thinking you're getting out of your students, right? steps to the solution. If we click on that, you're going to see it makes a pyramid shape for us that we can kind of use. I'm going to keep talking while it's popping up. Where'd it go? There we go, right? Let's say the answer to the problem lies at the top of the mountain. To get to it, there are many steps going along the way. Try to identify the steps you'll need to take and the things you'll need to learn. So, if this is the solution to the problem, you say, hey, we need to work on the environment, like, global warming. Okay, well, what are the problems? How are we going to get there? And what are the steps? And you kind of start to see that maybe, Jill's answer isn't perfect, but then you add Jimmy's answer and Lisa's answer. Now we can start to build a different pyramid. Maybe we can figure out some better solutions. And again, you can start posting them up on the board or showing them up on the board, not so that people know who they are, but so they see some of the different solutions. And then I wonder, right? I know that my son, he is in fourth grade. They constantly have to write at night. And in their writing after they read is I wonder, and that's always there. So if you're doing something like that, this would be an awesome one where you make one slideshow for every kid, you put a date on every one, and poof, instead of them writing it out, they could fill in I wonder, and it's all in one spot for you. Right now, I know she's got to collect I think 23 notebooks and page by page look through. How much nicer would it be just to use something like this, right? So these are all really kind of interpret, draw conclusions, right? Explain. These are all ways to get your students to interact. And I mean, I can remember being a student and having to listen to a 3-hour lecture. I mean, here we are, right? I'm lecturing to you now, but it's a great way for everything to kind of be taken in, right? For you as a teacher to make sure that you're getting direct feedback and direct information, while at the same time the students listening to you, making sure that they're paying attention, making sure that they're up to date, making sure we're kind of focused on what really needs to be going on. So it's a great interactive tool. And since we are, in this pandemic, I mean, I haven't seen 90% of my students in about a year now. So this is a great way for me to have this conversation with them, not necessarily for them to speak to me, but they're writing thoughts and they're getting it out there. All right. Social emotional learning. Again, right now, this is massive. Looking at how we're doing, what is filling your bucket today and what's draining it, what's overwhelming and what's helping you de-stress. That's big for students. That's a great do now kind of activity to look at. Hey, I know that especially with this pandemic, I know the pandemic is rough and I know you guys are having a rough time, but here's where we are with everything. And I really want you guys to take a moment and tell me, your thoughts, right? Stress test. Actually, I think this should be more for teachers than anybody else because there's a lot of times we look at say the pandemic and we put it on the teachers and we're like, well, you guys got to remember that these are students in it, but nobody remembers about the teacher. Like, where's the teacher at? But it's awesome to think about the stress. Where are you guys at? And I'm going to be honest, there are days that I'll say to my students, listen, we're online. I don't see a single person. I see 30 icons. I'll ask questions and nobody's answering ever. And I'll say, guys, what's going on? Somebody talk to me. What's up? And they'll bring up something stressful that's happening in their age group, in their world. And I'll say, wow, it sounds like you guys are just like overwhelmed right now. I'll give you a great, for instance, my seniors, they're talking about their senior trip, right? And their prom. And it's looking like we can do a little bit, but it's not going to be your traditional prom. It's not going to be your traditional senior trip. It's going to be a little bit tough. And the other day when I was talking to them, normally I see all of their icons and they're all talking. And the other day there's like no icons, no talk. I said, what's going on? And they said, well, we're talking about the senior trip and we're not going to Disney. They want to play like 4 little day trips for us. And, that stinks. And our prom, now they're talking about that we might not be able to bring guests from other schools because, of the COVID situation, and they're going on and on. And I basically was like, you know what? We're done. I can't teach you. All right. Your stress is too high. You're too worried about other things. Me talking to you means nothing. So this stress test or check could really change the whole dynamics of your situation. So I love this Pear Deck. And again, there's a whole bunch more that you guys can use and play with and see how it goes. And to me, this is one of the ultimate ways to get students to really kind of follow along. And so when you're doing it, you are the one that controls the speed, right? So if I just put a PowerPoint on here and say, okay, guys, college people, college students, girls, I want you to pay attention while I'm doing this. Oh, boom, 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 boom. You're just clicking along. Who cares, right? I can tell you right now, if I give fill in the blanks to my students in high school, right, they're watching the video or the PowerPoint notes as fast as they can write. They're 8 slides ahead of me. I'm talking about what's going on, and they're 8 slides because they just want to get done. They don't care. This has to follow along, right? And make sure that you're in control. I don't always agree with the teacher being in control, but sometimes when you're talking and you want them to pick up things, you need to be in control, right? So this is one of them. Sorry, too much talking today. So, if we go back, right, there's some example questions, right? There are different ones that you can use for math. All right, choose multiple choice, choose a response, which doesn't belong, and some of these are good for high school students. Graph this problem. You can definitely use that. Or why is this happening? But it's also pretty good for little guys. Which one doesn't belong, that kind of stuff. If we go back to I'm more of a history person, so these are kind of ones that we have. What's the big question? Was World War II caused by World War One? Take a moment and explain that. Is this a fact or opinion? If we're talking about, if we read a story, a newspaper article, something political going on, is this a fact or opinion, and how can you tell? All right, just what kind of source is that? Is this a primary or secondary resource? What's going on? So this is just ways to kind of get them to think a little bit more and to make sure that they're paying attention with what you're doing. And so I'm going to stop the showing you part. I want you guys to play around. I will tell you now, if you hit start lesson, okay, they can do it as a student paced activity, right? Um, and that's okay. Again, it's all right, but I truly would recommend always using an instructor paced activity. And here's why. Again, you get to control the speed. You get to answer questions. You get the ability to have that direct conversation with the students. If you let them do it at student paced, you're going to get whatever answer. Just how fast can I get through this? Student instructor paced is really a little bit more focused on you, but it's also focused on them. You get a very nice 50-50 split, in my opinion. So I'm doing the instructor version, right? And here's where I got to choose an account. Oh, all right. So I'm going to have to reauthorize. No worries. Remember, this is a Google made product. So you can reauthorize it. You can let it know that it's okay. When it doesn't update, if you haven't used it in a while, it's going to say, hey, can we authorize? And absolutely, you need to do that. That's an important part of everything. So when you give this to your students, right? When you give the information to your students, you're going to go to join. They have to go to joinpd.com. And I'm waiting for my join code. All right. And they always put it in an orange x-rays, fondly yield. Is that, I don't know, bandanas. Okay. That's what you're going to tell your students that they need to use to connect, right? So we're waiting for students. So I'm going to give it a try here and see if I can't jump in as the student version. Joinpd.com. Unless I spelled it wrong. There we go. Pear Deck, right? And I'm going to enter my code OXFY. Why am I not? Okay. OF. Now I can't remember what it was. OXF. XF. YXB. XB. All right, there we go. And it tells you what the item is down there. Now I'm just going to run through one or two of these so you can see. So the first thing it asks you while you're waiting for things to start up, like how are you feeling today, right? A social emotional kick in, right? Me, I'd say 90% of the time I'm there, right? I'm ready to go. So we're loading the presentation. So now you can see this is the presentation, all right? And I'm going to start class. This is so let me just make sure we're on the same page. This is the teacher view. This is the student view. All right. So I'm going to start class. I have one student enrolled. If you look down here, one student enrolled. Now, let's just say, for instance, you're in the middle of class and somebody's like, hey, I need to jump in. You can go back and give them the link. So I'm going to start class. All right. And here we are. I'm presenting. All right. We're on the same slide, student, teacher. All right. I'm going to just do my introduction, right? Let me get rid of this drawing section down here. I'm going to go forward. All right. So two things you already know about today's topic. Now look at the student. Two things you already know about today's topic. And take a look. There's pens and pencils and texting and erasers and colors, right? This is very student interactive. I'm going to text and I'm going to text in green. All right. And I'm just going to say two things I know. I know nothing. And I'll go purple. Oh. And I'm going to text again. There we go. This is done. All right. And that's just throwing it out there, right? So as a teacher, right, I can see one of one responses. I could show responses right here. There we go. That's what I get to see as a teacher, right? I know nothing. This is dumb. All right. And then I yell at the kid that just did that. It's a bad thing. All right. Hides responses. I click out of that. You can also lock their screens. In the middle, if you're like, wow, this is an awesome conversation, you can jump in and do a new prompt. What can I add in? All right. So it is very interactive. So now let's see. This is my student one, right? I'm going to move on. We're going to move on to the next slide. I'm not going to do a whole discussion right now. All right. What was your favorite theme? So here I am as the student, right? Here's my favorite theme. I thought they were all terrible. All right. So as a teacher, I'm like, oh, look, I got a response. Let me see the responses. I thought they were all terrible. Let me move this over. All right. But notice again, no names, no nothing like that. It allows the students, to be anonymous. And that's a very important part of this. All right. So we're here with a student again. So I'm going to hide my responses. We'll do a couple more just so you guys can see. Right. Here's my background. Right. It changed for my students. Background is an important part of Google Slides, right? Maybe that's something you talked about that's a very important part of this. So I can say true or false, right? It's going to let me know. Now, this used to be a slide, and they changed that up on me. I haven't used this one, the true or false one in a while, but it used to be a slide, all right? So now when I come back and I show students responses, 1 true, 0 false. It lets me know as a group where everybody is thinking, all right? All right, so let's hide responses. And now we're going to go to the next one, right? I got to find my next thing. I'm not trying to be, there we go. Drag it out to how you're feeling. So here I am. I'm a student, right? This one is a dot, right? Looks like a little bingo chip. So I'm like, without a doubt, I got it, right? Move this over. Now, I will tell you, I forever get this student that while we're looking at the answers is doing this game, right? So just be prepared that one or two of them are bound to do it. So let's just say I'm a little confused. All right. When I come back here, show responses, there I am. One of my students is confused, and I know that now. And I need to take the time to make sure that they are good to go. All right. Next one, let's keep going. I know we have a couple more in here. I want you to see what it looks like. Start a mind map by drawing or typing anywhere. So let's just say, for instance, we're just talking about the favorite color to use in a Google Slides, right? I'm like, I want blue. So here I am. Text, right? Blue, right? And that's it, right? I can put that in there. And if I want to move it, I can move it. If I create something different, if I ask different questions on each corner, I can. But it allows them to start creating a mind map, and you'd be surprised at how crazy the conversations go because you're like blue. All right, 8 of you put blue, navy blue, green blue. What kind of blue? Oh, we like this. And why do you like that? Well, when you're working with lighter backgrounds with darker color, and they get into it, and next thing you know, you're like, wow, you guys are learning. You don't even realize it. So it is a great discussion factor. So let me go back. All right. So again, show responses. There, I got my response. All right, let's move on a little bit. All right, drag your dot to indicate whether you agree or disagree. I don't think we had again, you're going to have that kid, right? It's just the way it is. But you know what? At some point, it's like, at least I know they're there. At least I know they're following along. At least I know. So no matter how mad you get, you have to look at the bright side and be like, listen, one of those kids is driving me insane, but at least I know he's paying attention. And then you say, okay, I'm going to lock it. And they jump on. You're like, all right, you're good to go. All right. So again, we go back to what it looks like for the teacher, show response, and there they are. And if you have 20 kids, you're going to see 20 dots on there. And again, you will also have that one individual who leaves it right there. What are you going to do, right? It's just the way it is. All right. So let's keep going. I know there's a couple more in here, right? These are the instructions, right? As a student, you get the instructions. They don't do anything really here. It just gives them the instructions to look at. So don't worry too much about that. Oh, what did I do here? I hit back too many times. I'm sorry. Why is it not letting me join? Let's go forward, see if it does. But it should take me back right to where we were. And not see, there we are, right? So even if a kid leaves, they can jump right back in. You don't have to really reset them. All right, so now let's go to 920. All right, reflect. And again, this one gets a little long, but each student can reflect using lines. If they want to use pencil, all right, let's see here. They can just kind of doodle. All right, what did you like? I don't know, great. Now I'm going to be honest with you, the spelling mechanism. This is more for like an iPad, all right, because you can see it does not do very well for me, right? If they want to use a highlighter and just say, hey, I'm going to highlight this right here. All right, there you go. I highlighted. Text eraser. You can go back and erase everything, and it completely will allow you to go through and erase. Right, but as a teacher, you click here and you get to see the responses. And right now, like there's only one, but it'll let you scroll down through all 20 presentations if that's what's there. I don't remember how many more we did. Oh, make connections, same kind of thing. You get to draw and write on your board so that you can really kind of take time. Now there's a sizer. If you want to draw a little bit bigger and smaller, you can definitely do that. All right. I just want to keep seeing where we are. Step solution. Again, this one, right? What steps are there? What are we doing? You can text it in, or you can draw it in, or you can write it. And again, all of these you can see the responses for. And then we're kind of getting towards the end. I think that was about it. All right, so what do I expect in the final setup for you? I expect, because you are creating a lecture for this week, right? And again, it could be, for little kids, kindergarten, first, second grade, right? They're not big into lectures, right? So what if you used, a storybook, and inside of that storybook you had the pictures with the words, and you're reading it to them, and you say, okay, like, such and such happened in the book. Do you agree or disagree with the situation? And you can let them use that. As you get a little older, you build on it. So definitely when you're making this, try and think about the level that you're working with, and how far you think you can go with doing this. Now, the requirements for this part of the project are online. But I will tell you, it needs to be, this is part of the procedure for your lesson plan this week, right? So you don't have to turn this in through Google Classroom. You need to make sure that it is uploaded into your folder, your correct folder, and then hyperlinked into your lesson in your procedures portion of your lesson. When you turn your lesson into Google Classroom, I will be able to find everything that you have. All right. So your lesson gets placed up into Google Classroom. This gets hyperlinked as part of the procedure. All right. So make sure you get that. I hope that you saw some cool things that you can use today. What I don't want you guys to do the start up. So like the start lesson, it's going to give the code and everything. I don't want that. I just want the link to the lesson. Okay. The shareable link you're going to share. And again, it will be in your correct folder so that I have access. And then this will be the link that you grab onto and you hyperlink, right? You're not going to go through this lesson with me, so don't use the start lesson option. Don't send me a code or anything like that. Just send me this because I can flip through and see how you're using the different items within and whether it makes sense or not. All right. So make sure that you do that as we go. All right. And that's where your upload will be, not Google Classroom, but on the lesson itself and part of the procedure. All right. I think I've taken enough time. Thank you very much. I hope you got a lot out of it. If you have questions, don't forget I have Monday night office hours, and you can always email me. Have a good one, and I will talk to you later.